No one teaches men how to live after divorce. They just tell you to sign the papers, move out, and figure out the rest on your own. But the truth is, the rest is the real hell. You don't just lose a wife. You lose your sense of self, your identity as a man, and if you're not awake, you'll lose your future too. But Epictetus, a slave turned philosopher, left behind 3 brutal, practical lessons that can save your life, if you're man enough to listen. This isn't a video to stroke your emotions. It's here to smash your illusions and rebuild a man from the wreckage. If you've just been through a divorce, don't click away, because the next 3 minutes might be the only thing standing between you and another collapse. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and like if you're new here. It helps me keep bringing you more valuable content. That feeling when the woman who used to sleep next to you every night, who once promised to love you forever, now treats you like a stranger, maybe even an enemy, that can crush any man. Unless he learns the lesson Epictetus carved into stone 2,000 years ago. It's not what happens to you that causes suffering. It's how you perceive it. You're not in pain because of the divorce. You're in pain because you believe divorce means the end. You've attached all these miserable meanings to it, fed to you by fear and society. I'm no longer worthy. I've been betrayed. I lost everything. I'm a failure. Now, you're not a failure, unless you decide to see it that way. It's the tear-filled lens of resentment in your head that's strangling you. Not her, not the court, not the divorce decree. You're probably thinking, easy for you to say, you didn't lose your kids, your home, the woman you gave your youth to. I'm not denying your pain. I'm exposing how you're processing it. It's like eating rotten food. If you keep swallowing it, you're gonna puke. But if you spit it out and choose something else, you live. Epictetus was a literal slave, beaten, controlled, owned. And yet he said, everything depends on how we interpret what happens. You think he said that just to sound deep? Or do you think you're the only one who's ever been thrown into hell? Divorced men drown in 2 things: self-pity and a desperate need to be a validated victim. They want someone to say, yeah man, she was awful, you deserved better. But guess what? No one gives a damn. Society doesn't reward weak men. Women aren't drawn to sob stories. And your kids, if you have any, won't learn anything from a father who drowns in his own pain. The problem wasn't that she left. The problem was that you handed her your self-worth. When you said, she's my everything, you wrapped a silk noose around your own neck. When she walked out, you didn't just lose someone, you lost yourself. Because you never built a you that stood independently. Epictetus called that spiritual slavery. You think you're free? No. You're a slave. To emotion, to expectations, to someone else. Now it's time to take that power back. Ask yourself, why did divorce break you? Because you really lost everything? Or because you were never mentally prepared to face what you've always avoided? That love is not a guarantee, marriage is not forever, and no one is responsible for your happiness but you? You can curse her for the rest of your life, or you can use this pain as a turning point, a total reset for your mindset, your habits, your identity. Epictetus didn't say, suppress your feelings. He said, control your response to them. Be angry, be sad, cry if you must. But then what? Sit in your misery? Or get the hell up and rebuild from the ground up? Let's be clear. This world has no place for men who live in the past. It only respects the ones who turn tragedy into fuel. I once met a man. He had just lost his wife, went bankrupt, and found out he was sick. He sat across from me in a cafe, no whining, no tears, just said one thing. Now that I've got nothing left to lose, I'll start living like a man with nothing left to fear. That's Stoicism. That's the counterpunch to adversity. If you truly want to move forward from divorce, you don't need a healing workshop. You don't need a rebound relationship. You don't need some girl texting you deserve love. You need one thing: the mindset of a man who understands he alone defines everything in his life. Not her, not the lawyer, not your bank account, you. You decide what it all means, and if you choose to see divorce as the end, you'll act like a man who's already dead. But if you see it as purification, as the shedding of what no longer serves you, you'll start acting like someone who's finally alive. Start with the basics. Wake up earlier, stop checking her socials, work out, read, learn a new skill. rewrite your goals, rebuild your value system without her at the center. That's how you come back. Quietly, relentlessly, day by day, hour by hour, taking back command of your life. Epictetus had no social media, no therapists, no podcasts, but he had one thing you also have: the power to choose how to think. And that choice will define everything, whether you're the man crushed by divorce or the man reborn from rubble, sharper, harder, and building a future no one can take from you again. If this video made you think, hit like now. Comment below. How have you applied Stoicism in your life? Stoic success, unbreakable mindset, total control. One of the deadliest mistakes men make after divorce is wishing for the past to come back. They pray, they grieve, they send late-night texts, they hope for a miracle to rewind it all. But the truth is, nothing is more pathetic than that way of living. It's not just weak, it's useless, and more importantly, it's a declaration of war against reality. Epictetus taught that we shouldn't beg the world to align with our desires. Instead, we must train ourselves to want what is, because that's the only way to avoid becoming a spiritual failure. And if you've just gone through a divorce, if you're sitting in an empty apartment, clinging to memories like an addict looking for a hit, this is the only truth you need. It happened, and it's not getting undone. Harsh? Good. That harshness is the foundation of your rebirth. If you're still hoping for a heart-to-heart, a sincere apology, a second chance, you're not living in reality. You're prolonging an emotional death and calling it hope. That's not hope. That's refusal to accept what is. Divorce isn't the end of your life, but it is the death of an old version of you. And the longer you cling to that corpse, paint it up to make it look less dead, the faster you'll rot from the inside out. Instead, you need to rewire a skill almost no one teaches: the art of embracing the present, even if it's painful, empty, and strips you down to someone you barely recognize. Want a real-world example? Picture a Marine who's lost a leg in combat. He can complain about not being able to run like he used to, or he can train with what he's got and become a one-legged nightmare to anyone who underestimates him. That's the Stoic mindset. Don't demand the battlefield to be fair. Just become more dangerous within the unfairness. Divorce is no different. You've lost a wife, maybe a family. Good. That's your new battlefield. Now you get to choose. Become a bitter man or a dangerous one. And if you're still longing for the past, then you're not ready to be the latter. Epictetus taught that once we stop fighting what's outside our control and start accepting, even embracing, reality, that's when we gain true freedom. It's not surrender, it's sovereignty. Because when you stop expecting life to follow your script, you free up the energy to do the only thing that matters: respond like a savage in the face of chaos. Let me say this again. You don't control that she left, but you do control how you move forward. You can turn that empty bedroom into a gym. You can turn your solitude into mental steel. You can take the money you lost and call it tuition for the most expensive course of your life. Learning never to bet everything on someone else and forget who the hell you are. A real man after divorce doesn't ask, "How do I get her back?" He asks, "How do I reinvent myself so thoroughly that the past no longer has a seat at my table?" This isn't self-help fluff. This is survival. If you don't learn to want what's happening, it will crush you. You'll blame, repeat patterns, and carry your wounds into everything: your job, your next relationship, your friendships, even your kids. You'll let one chapter define the whole damn book. And that, my friend, is the definition of failure. I'm not telling you to fake positivity. Don't slap some nonsense quote like, "Everything happens for a reason" on your fridge. That's trash. I'm talking about a complete mental reset, where you look your current life in the face and say, not to the world, but to yourself: I didn't choose this, but I sure as hell choose how I respond to it. Now imagine how dangerous you'd be if every time life knocked you down, you stood back up and coldly said, "Thanks. Next time, hit harder." No one can break that kind of man. No woman can manipulate him. No circumstance can bend his spine. You live in a world where weakness is disguised as victimhood. But you don't have to play that game. You can choose another path, the Stoic path, and it begins when you stop cursing your situation and start wanting it. You lost your wife, but you didn't lose yourself, unless you choose to. And if you're still reading this, I know you haven't chosen that. So stop asking, why did this happen to me? Start asking, who the hell am I going to become from this rubble? Because in the end, what defines you is not what happens to you. It's how you rise to meet it. Divorce isn't what destroys a man. It's what he thinks about divorce that does the damage. And the worst part? He believes every word of it. Most men after divorce aren't broken by what they lost. They're wrecked by the voices in their heads. She left because I wasn't good enough. I'm a terrible father. I've got nothing left to start over. These are thoughts left unchecked, never questioned, never challenged. And when they take over, you're no longer free. You're chained to your own mind. Epictetus said that freedom doesn't come from money, power, or how many women want you. Real freedom is the ability to master your thoughts, to face the worst situation imaginable and not let it shatter you from the inside. You could be living in a rundown apartment, broke, alone, abandoned, and still be the most dangerous man in the city if you own your mindset. On the flip side, you could be living in a mansion with a new partner, surrounded by comfort. But if every night you're haunted by the whisper you're a failure, then you're nothing more than a prisoner in a velvet cell. The problem is, most men don't know they can control their thoughts. They think they are their thoughts. They believe, if I feel this way, it must be true. And that's the root of collapse. Epictetus would laugh if you said that to him. He'd ask, is your emotion a fact, or is it just wind passing through? And you were dumb enough to pitch a tent in the middle of the storm. A man who can't control his thinking is predictable, reactive, easy to manipulate, easily driven mad by women, and most dangerous of all, self-destructive. Because what goes on in your head will, sooner or later, show up in your life. If your mind is filled with self-hate, resentment, and rage, it will come out in your actions. And even if it doesn't kill someone else, it will kill you. So how do you take control back? You start by treating your mind as a liar, not a god. Not every thought that pops up is true. Most are just old habits, old wounds, and distorted beliefs playing on repeat. When you think I'm not enough, stop and ask, by what standard? Who says so? When you think I'll be alone forever, challenge it. Forever, or just right now while I'm in pain. You wouldn't stay silent if some stranger sent you a nasty message. So why do you stay quiet when the voice in your own head is spitting garbage? You can choose better thoughts. And every time you do, you break one more link in the chain. You can't undo the divorce, but you can rewrite the story you tell yourself about it. It's not I was abandoned. It's I was set free. It's not I lost my family. It's I'm rebuilding someone stronger. That's how you reclaim your freedom. Not out in the world, but in your head. And that's the freedom that actually matters. I once knew a man who had just gone through a divorce, lost custody of his kids, and went bankrupt. Everything he thought made him a man was stripped away. But instead of drowning in it, he gave himself a challenge. 90 days of no complaining, no blaming, and not mentioning his ex. Every morning, he wrote one positive truth about himself, no matter how he felt. Every day, he forced himself to talk to one new person and write down one thing he was grateful for. After 90 days, he wasn't desperate anymore. Not because his life magically improved, but because he stopped believing the lies in his head. He took back control of the most dangerous weapon any man possesses, his mind. You can do that too, but no one can do it for you. No one's coming into your head to clean it out. No one hears the toxic dialogue running on loop every night. Only you hear it, and only you can shut it down. Epictetus was a slave, beaten until he was crippled, but he never saw himself as a victim, because he knew that no one could enslave his mind unless he let them. So ask yourself, are you still letting your ex live rent-free in your head? Are you still letting one moment in your past define your entire worth today? If so, you're not much different from a prisoner who refuses to leave the cage because he's gotten used to the dark. Freedom doesn't start in your bank account. It starts with one simple question. Is this thought even true? Or is it just the echo of a broken, weaker, older version of me? If you have the balls to ask yourself that every day, then you're practicing Stoicism at the highest level and walking the only path where no one, not even you, can ever control you again. Divorce doesn't define you. Your response to it does. That's what will carve your name into stone or bury you in dust. You can choose the path of resentment, blame, and self-pity, like millions of men out there. Or you can choose the Epictetus way, stoicism, self-mastery, and rebuilding your life from rubble without asking anyone for pity. You're not in pain because you lost her. You're in pain because you made her the meaning of your entire life. The biggest mistake men make isn't loving the wrong woman. It's forgetting to love themselves the right way by putting themselves first. This isn't the time to be soft. This is the time to rebuild your empire, brick by brick, with a mindset no one can break. Epictetus didn't need the perfect circumstances to become a philosopher. And you don't need to be perfect to start becoming the kind of man you respect. Hurt? Good. That means you're alive. So live like a warrior, not like someone wounded. No one's coming to save you, but no one can stop you either if you choose to rise. Now choose. Stay a prisoner in your own mind or become a free man, not because someone unlocked the door, but because you picked the lock yourself. Thank you for being here. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, turn on notifications, and like this video. Don't forget to leave a comment so we can spread positivity together.